Have you ever asked someone to do just one really small, really simple job, and they've still managed to get it wrong somehow? Like you ask them to load the dishwasher, and they think this is what you meant. Or you could ask them to do the laundry, and find they've put an entire bag of pretzel sticks in with the rest of the load. Well, if you thought that was weird, it's only about to get weirder. From incredible idiocy to major misunderstandings, it's time to laugh at people who just had one job and still managed to screw it up. Okay, I want to introduce you all to someone. This is Antonio. Antonio just helped put down this road. It looks like a real solid, well-laid road. Good job, Antonio. Only there's a gate over there that needs closing and, looks like Antonio didn't account for the fact that adding a thick layer of asphalt to the ground might raise it to the point where the gate won't close over it. Man. I guess there's only one question left to ask.
What do you think, Antonio?
Oh my God!
Did he just... Okay. That was either a very good chicken impression, or Antonio's just as confused as to how he missed this as the rest of us. When you refurbish a bathroom, a plumber will usually advise you on what materials to use and what size everything needs to be. When unqualified people who think they know better try their hand at this, though, they can end up with pretty obvious problems. Like this guy who installed a fancy new faucet, but didn't consider the angle of the new water flow. Ah well, who needs a sink when you have a perfectly good drain in the floor there? Now, I'm not a handyman by any stretch of the imagination. I have no idea how to fix a leaky faucet or put up a set of shelves. Now, that said, I think even I know which way round a toilet seat goes, unlike whoever installed this one. Man, I hope they had the smarts to take it off and put it right way round, otherwise this person's in for the dreaded freezing cold porcelain poop. But at least they gave enough crap to try. Whereas the person responsible for this absolute travesty clearly only gave half a crap. Okay, let's try to apply some logic to this situation. Either this bathroom was converted into two smaller rooms, and someone spent several hours painstakingly and perfectly erecting a well-fitted drywall around the toilet, which they couldn't remove for reasons, or whoever's job it was to install this toilet took the term half bath way too literally. I mean, I guess it might be... No, I'm at a loss. What do you think? For drywall disaster, hit that like button. And for insane installation, hit that subscribe button. All done? Right, what other jobs have people managed to mess up in the weirdest ways possible? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if whoever installed that toilet seat also put the plastic clasp lid on this juice carton. Come on, the opening's right there. The area's even blocked out in white, so you know exactly where it's meant to go. Now, to be fair, this was probably a factory machine error that flipped the carton the wrong way around during some part of the production line. But still, was the quality control manager at this factory blind? Or do they just not care about the freshness of a man's juice? Sometimes you can't trust an idiot to do one simple job. You have to do it yourself. Except you can turn out to be that idiot if you don't check what you're doing, as this next guy found out. He decided he was going to install a kiddie hole into one of the doors in his home. Only, he didn't check which way round the door was before he cut the hole. So, when he went to reattach it, this happened.
Well,
I think he's probably going to pay someone to come fix this mistake. Either that or this cat's going to have to learn how to jump 6 feet straight up. If you've been abroad, you might have bought a t-shirt with a place you visited emblazoned on it as a souvenir. Nice way to remember your trip, right? Okay, so riddle me this. Where in the hell is this t-shirt meant to be from? For a start, that is an outline of Africa. Famously an entire continent, not a country. And second, that says Asia, which is an entirely different continent. I have several questions. Who designed this? Who designed this? And finally, who designed this? No wonder this thing was found in the sale section. No matter how old you are or where you come from, we all know Pikachu, the iconic little yellow electric mouse Pokemon. At least I assumed we all did, because whoever put together this Pikachu amiibo figure has clearly never seen a Pikachu before in their life. Somehow they managed to switch the little creature's tail and ears around, leaving it more like a rejected Teletubby design over a Pokemon. Suddenly, I don't want to catch them all. When people list products online, all they have to do is show a photo of what the product actually looks like and then send you that product. Doesn't sound too hard, but it's easier said than done, as Reddit user MattPond1 discovered. A fan of the stop-motion duo Wallace and Gromit, they ordered a cheap coffee mug online in the shape of Gromit's head. But what they actually got was, well, it was a picture of a Gromit-shaped mug on a normal mug. I can't tell if this is a swindler trying to cash in on the weirdly specific Wallace and Gromit mug fandom, or if someone genuinely thought people wanted a picture of a mug on a mug. Wait, I think I've seen this film before. Yeah, Mugception. Road painters have pretty straightforward and weirdly satisfying jobs. Occasionally, the role involves laying down tape or a stencil and painting within the lines, or just pressing a button on a slow-moving line painting machine to dispense a perfectly unbroken line of paint. Now, I've never done this job in my life, but it seems pretty intuitive to assume that if there's something in the way, you should move it before laying down paint. Otherwise, you end up with scenes like this. I think the biggest insult to this bike owner is that they changed the color of the paint while still spraying the tire. Would it really have been too much to just move the bike onto the sidewalk? Fairly certain it wasn't super glued to the rack. And speaking of things that could easily have been moved out of the way of a paint sprayer, really? Moving a few pieces of dog poop was too hard? At least, I'm assuming that's dog poop. Repairing a hole in a brick wall can be a real pain. The bricks filling the hole need to be cut to size, and then everything has to be shoved into place like one giant heavy jigsaw puzzle. Clearly the process was too much work for the person who was asked to fill this hole. It looks like they turned up, realized they couldn't fit the bricks in lengthwise, and then played Tetris with them instead, shoving them in anywhere they'd fit and calling it a job done. Man, I hope nobody actually paid for this. Maybe I've been being too skeptical. Maybe these jobs are too hard to get right. Or maybe, just maybe, people are stupid. Because I don't know about you, but I've never forgotten that the handle goes on the outside of the mug. I really don't want to put this down to some sort of machine error, but mass-made ceramic mugs like this are mainly produced by hand through a series of molds and firing processes. This is because the materials and designs are too delicate and complex for machines to process alone. There's no button to push that inserts a handle or folds the body of a cup the wrong way round. That's all down to a human. So someone must have put that handle inside that cup deliberately, and I hate it. Now, back in my youth, which was so long ago I swear I remember dinosaurs roaming the earth, I used to have a part-time job at McDonald's making burgers. It was pretty easy. Open a bun, squirt condiments, add relish, add a slice of cheese, add burger, close, bun. It's literally that simple. Though it looks like someone over at McDonald's was trying to reinvent this process when they added cheese to the outside of this Filet-O-Fish sandwich. Was lifting up the top of the bun somehow too hard? Well, we shouldn't be that surprised. After all, someone else working at this famous fast food franchise had the simple job of flying the McDonald's flag. You know, the one with the big M on it that stands pretty unmistakably for McDonald's. It's not a W for McDonald's. Initially, I thought this might have been part of McDonald's Women's Day PR stunt, where they flipped flags and signs all over the US to show their support for women back in 2018. Yeah, it was a pretty lame gesture considering they'd just come under heavy fire that year for sweeping claims of female employee harassment under the rug, but this image was uploaded a good year before that marketing initiative took hold. Now, that said, maybe this actually inspired the PR stunt. The cycle of stupidity continues. While putting the flag upside down is a simple mistake to make, forgetting an entire arch from the famous Golden Arches is another level of dumb. Or at least it would be if it weren't intentional. It turns out the famous Golden Arches logo originates from the 1950s McDonald's building designs, which had two illuminated arches on either side of the roof to make them stand out. The Golden Arches weren't incorporated into the logo until 1962, and to this day, some 12 McDonald's locations, long-standing spots that have existed since the 50s, sport signs with just one original arch that used to make up the iconic buildings. But even with all that said, seeing the single arch makes me want to call it Nickdonald's. There's something about a popsicle shaped like a cartoon character that just makes it taste superior. Sadly, you don't always get what's promised on the box, or at least the guy who bought this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ice cream didn't, and poor Raphael just doesn't know which way he's looking. Did the quality inspector responsible for this batch really give this cross-eyed crusader the green light? Well, at least it has the right number of gumball eyes, unlike SpongeBob over here. Jeez, what kind of ice cream is that, I wonder? Tastes like nightmares? The little yellow minions from the film franchise Despicable Me are so popular that their designs have found their way onto just about everything, from Crocs to pasta shapes. People have even baked their designs into cakes. Aww. Although this doesn't always go to plan. Oh gosh, why would you give it teeth like that? You had one job to make a cute birthday cake from one of many designs, most of which don't have teeth and don't look like they crawled out of hell. Why make it look like it's half minion, half meat grinder? Well, at least an attempt was made here. Unlike what Reddit user Cats and Jeeps 2 experienced. They asked a local bakery to make them a cake in the shape of a Nintendo Switch console for their daughter's birthday. However, the order was passed on to a different baker who for some reason wasn't given the instructions, and so what Cats N received was different. Okay, it might be a world apart from what they asked for, but there is an edible photo of the reference picture of the Switch console Katzen took on the cake, along with Katzen's knees, and the very boomer image of someone taking a picture of the Switch. Just what every 8-year-old wants. Now, our society isn't built well to accommodate people with mobility issues. With that said, I don't think that flipping a set of stairs over like this is the solution. Those ramps are so steep, any wheelchair user will need to be on X Games mode to use them. What seems to have happened here is that these stair sections came prefabricated and were wrapped up to protect them. Unable to see them, the installation crew had to guess which way up they went, and they guessed wrong. Well, it's either that or the stairs were designed by MC Escher. Now, even on a good day, elevators cause me some anxiety because I'm kind of claustrophobic. However, I think I'd feel at ease on this elevator because someone as equally as claustrophobic as me installed not one, not two, but 3 open door call buttons. Wait, hang on. What if these buttons don't actually mean that, though? Where's the button that keeps the door closed? And which one actually keeps it open? Oh no. This has turned into a game of Russian elevator roulette. I think I'll take the stairs. We could all do with getting a bit more exercise, but whoever fixed up this bike in an attempt to cycle their way to health won't be going anywhere in a hurry. Can you see why? Yeah, those pedals are going to prove difficult to push. You need the leverage achieved by pushing down on one pedal to help bring the other pedal around, which is why pedals usually get set 180 degrees from one another. Anyone trying to ride this bike would soon see how difficult it is to gain momentum without that all-important leverage. Not impossible, but very slow and funny to watch. You know what my favorite thing about college football is? The cheerleaders. They're relentlessly happy, their routines are super peppy, and their timing is immaculate. Now, with that said, not every cheerleader gets it right, as the Notre Dame Fighting Irish know all too well. Oh boy. To be fair, this cheerleader had probably been flipped around in the air so many times by this point in this match, she might not have known which way was up. Give me an O. Give me a G. What does that spell? No, seriously, what does that spell? I'm too dizzy to think good. Okay, pop quiz. What are the key components of a fork? A handle, a flat top section, and prongs, right? Now, someone please explain to me who forgot one of those key principles when they were packaging up the guy on the right here. Well, a lot of cheap cutlery production is fully automated these days, but the majority of cutlery manufacturers require a human assessment for assured quality control. So either the person in charge of quality control was, I don't know, napping that day, or they purposefully were trying to make tiny shovels. Somehow it's the jobs that are done ever so slightly wrong that can be the most infuriating. Don't believe me? Take a look at this. In this sea of perfectly aligned floor tiles, someone really couldn't be bothered to turn this 90 degrees to fit the pattern of the others. And now the rest of us are mildly frustrated, which is really frustrating, but not half as frustrating as the tactile paving on this train platform in the UK is. I want to scream. I double-checked if it might be an accessibility reason for this, but UK trains and their carriages are different lengths. So this is definitely not a designated gathering point for the visually impaired, which leaves me asking why, oh why, this section could not have been rotated around to match the others. Okay, I need your help with this next one because I can't figure out which job went wrong. Did someone install this public restroom dryer here an inch away from the top of the cabinet for, I guess, jokes? Or was the cabinet installed after the dryer, and while deeper than first expected, it was just put there anyway? No matter how I look at it, I just keep getting mad at it. Someone knew what they were doing and didn't think to put the dryer somewhere else, or install the cabinet somewhere else so the dryer isn't useless? I guess the head of that dryer is designed to swivel, but that's not the point. Orange cones, or traffic cones, are often used to cordon off areas that are about to undergo work. And when that work commences, it takes just one person to remove them. All they have to do is move them out of the way. Such a simple, easy task. What could possibly go wrong? Well, let's be fair. Two people failed at the job they had here. Someone didn't pick up the cone, and the other person thought it was completely acceptable to lay concrete around it. Looks like this poor thing will be forever a cone. What does the word private mean to you? Maybe something protected or exclusive? In which case, I'm struggling to figure out how the fencing around this supposedly private pool is private at all, despite having a carefully installed gate complete with a pin-coated entry pad. A knee-high wall is all that separates people from the other side of the gate, rendering it entirely useless. Surely the designer realized there'd be a whacking great hole next to the security provision they were putting in place, or maybe the contractor installing it would have told them. Whoever's fault it is, it's safe to say this is a public pool now. Does anyone watching know more than one or two languages? Because I could use your help translating exactly what in God's name went wrong with this product. In English, these are glow-in-the-dark stars, a kind of decoration that contains phosphors, which radiate light after they've gotten energy from a source of very bright light. They can make your ceilings look like the night sky when the lights are turned off, making them a pretty and undeniably star-shaped decoration, right? Well, not according to whoever translated their name, they're not. The first translation is next to a German flag, but sous-marin is actually French for submarine. Likewise, the German translation is next to the flag of the Netherlands, but Tauchboot means submersible. Maybe we'll have luck with the third one, which shows either the Italian or Irish flag next to a Dutch word, and goes one step further to mean diving submarine. But all submarines dive. Without the diving element, a submarine isn't. It's just a boat. Basically, none of these translations mean glow-in-the-dark stars. I think it might be time this company fired their translator. Call me a purist, but I prefer a paperback book over an ebook. They might be more expensive, but you know where you stand with a real book. At least I always assumed you did, considering someone added in a passage on this page encouraging readers to click here for a free audiobook download. Sorry to disappoint whoever thought this was a smart idea, but you cannot click a book. In all seriousness, though, this is likely a bootleg book that's been downloaded from an ebook file and printed illegally in the hopes of turning a quick buck. If only these thieving idiots had read a few more books themselves. Now, you might be old enough to remember a time before wireless earbuds, AirPods, and Bluetooth headphones. These were the dark days of wired headphones, where if you put them in your pockets for even a second, they'd come out in a knot so tough it'd make a sailor cry. There was only one thing worse than the inevitable earphone knot, though, and that was buying earphones that had been assembled by someone who clearly hadn't been paying attention. The jack and earbud of these earphones have somehow been attached the wrong way round. And before any kids try to tell me these are VR earbuds designed to plug in and reach around the massive headpieces, these earphones came with a 2000s Sony Ericsson Walkman phone. You remember Walkman, right? The thing we used before Spotify? That's right, there was a time before Spotify. Shock, horror. The saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. However, even if you study planning at Ball State University, Indiana, you might still fail. If the sign over the college architecture and planning's loading dock is anything to go by, at least, wow. It's just such a bad joke you'd think it was photoshopped, but it was real. Yep, back in 1982, the college building was expanded, changing the size of one of the entryways to transform it into a loading dock. When the contractors asked the dean if he wanted to have letters above the entrance respaced, he said, "No, it's just a loading dock. Stick any extra letters on the wall, it'll look funny." Sadly, the sign was later removed following another refurbishment. Man, you gotta love college life. So there are a few key rules when installing electrics. Number 1, make sure there's no water around. You don't need to be good at math. No electricity plus water equals danger. Number 2, make sure everything's turned off at the mains before you start drilling through walls or changing cables. Your body plus live wires equals danger. And number 3, don't be stupid, because stupidity plus electricity equals this. Someone genuinely installed a socket panel across a door. Are they expecting people to limbo their way out of the room now? Well, I'm no master electrician, so if anybody experienced out there has any idea why someone thought this was a completely normal thing to do, please let me know down below. Now, according to the history books, there was a man who always had more than one job, and he still managed to complete all his tasks perfectly. That man's name? Jesus. Okay, maybe not the history books, but definitely the Bible. And when he wasn't busy feeding the 5,000 with fish and bread, he was turning water into wine. He's even doing it to this day. Now, don't believe me? Then explain this aisle in a British grocery store. That sign clearly says water, but all that's stacked beneath it is row after row of wine. Consider this proof that Jesus shops at Tesco. Or, more likely, someone reorganized the shelves and forgot to change over the signs. At least, I hope that's the case. Otherwise, I dread to think what the fish section and bakery aisles look like. Now, as a guy, I'd argue that peeing in a urinal isn't something you necessarily need a stall for. Sure, a little privacy is nice, but providing no one's rubbernecking over to get a good look, you can get your business done without feeling too exposed. Going for a number 2, though? Oh, you need a stall. Imagine walking into the restrooms and locking eyes with someone with their pants around their ankles, grunting and straining their way through a brutal bowel movement. Nope. No, thank you. However, this clearly wasn't the logic behind being employed by whoever approved the installation of this stall. I want to say the contractor should have realized this was so very, very wrong, but it's more likely that the person in charge of verifying the plans and taking stall measurements was at fault here. Not realizing the urinal and toilet were the other way around. Well, this urinal certainly puts the pee in privacy. Which of these jobs do you think could have managed without screwing up? And do you have any stories of your own? Let me know down in the comments below, and thanks for watching.